available for members of the public to listen to the meeting, and we welcome anyone who's currently listening via webcast. I would like to ask everyone to mute their phones when they're not speaking to minimize background noise. Also, identify yourself when speaking and making a motion. For voting, we'll call out each director's name for their vote so that we can accurately record the vote. I will now do a roll call of the participants in today's meeting, and I'll begin with the directors. Michael Abbott.
Present.
Christine Chung. Michael Frame.
Present.
Christine is here. I think I heard her in the background.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just getting on.
No problem. And Michael is here. He just identified himself. Franklin Hack. Dr. Mangling South.
Present.
Brad Johnson.
Present.
Joan McDonald. Kristen Proud. And Kenneth Tompkins.
Sorry, I needed to unmute. Joan McDonald is present.
Thank you.
And Ken Tompkins is present.
Thank you. I'll now do a roll call of our members. Did I miss anyone? Some of the audio is not very good, so if you please get close to the microphone when you speak. Okay, I will now do a roll call of our member designees. Kevin Yunus, the Chief Operating Officer of Empire State Development, who is the designee of the Chief Executive Officer of Empire State Development.
That is Kevin. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Dr. Todd Larson, Senior Vice Chancellor and Provost of the State University of New York, and he's the designee of the Chancellor.
Yes, I'm present.
Thank you, Todd. I'll now do a roll call of the officers who are participating in the meeting. Dr. Doug Gross.
Present.
Patricia Arciero.
Present.
Paul Kelly.
Present.
Scott Bateman. Timothy Taylor.
Present.
And Pat Butler.
Present.
Again, a quick reminder that it would be great if everyone can mute their phones when they're not speaking, because we have some echo in the sound system. Thank you. Potential conflict of interest. So I'll now ask the directors if anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to the items on today's agenda. If you do, please make an appropriate disclosure on the record now, and then recuse yourself from any discussion or vote in regard to that item. Not hearing any, we'll move on to the next item, which is approval of minutes. So I would like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the NYCH meeting that took place on July 13th.
This is Mike Abbott. I make a motion.
Thank you, Mike.
That's Kristen. I'll second.
Thank you. I will now ask each director. So, any corrections or any issues with the minutes? Not hearing any, I'll ask each director for their vote, agreeing with the approval of the minutes. Michael Abbott.
Aye.
Aye. Christine Chung. Michael Frame.
Aye.
Franklin Hack. Dr. Meng Ling Xiao.
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
Joan McDonald. Kristen Proud.
Aye.
Kenneth Tompkins,
Aye.
and I'd like it to go on the record that I agreed with the minutes as well. So the minutes are approved. I would now like to introduce Michael Abbott, the chair of the Audit Committee, for the Audit Committee report. Michael?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to ask for a motion to consider and adopt New York Creates, FRMC, and FSMC resolutions approving the engagement of an auditor.
So moved by Meng-Lin Shah.
Thank you, Meng-Lin. Could I have a second, please?
Second, Joan McDonald.
Thank you, Joan. By way of background, the bylaws of New York Creates, FRMC, and FSMC each provide that the financial statements of the corporation shall be audited annually by a certified public accounting firm approved by the Board of Directors. The corporations seek authorization to engage KPMG to perform the audit and to review their tax filings for the year ending June 30th, 2020, and for any additional related projects as may be necessary. KPMG has performed the FRMC and FSMC audits and reviewed their tax filings for the past several years. For the year ending June 30th, 2020, the audit will be prepared and filed as a New York Creates single consolidated audit with accompanying schedules for FRMC and FSMC rather than separate FRMC and FSMC audits as was done in past years. With regard to the tax filings, each of the three corporations, New York Creates, FRMC, and FSMC, will have separate filings. Given KPMG's work on and familiarity with the corporation's finances and tax filings, which cover the same period, KPMG has a unique knowledge and ability to perform the needed review in a thorough and expeditious manner. Accordingly, New York Creates, FRMC, and FSMC seek to engage KPMG based on a single source justification to audit their financial statements as part of the consolidated audit of New York Creates and to review their tax filings for the year ending June 30th, 2020. Such services for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021 will be competitively bid by the corporations. As stated in the memorandum accompanying the resolution that was provided to the board in advance of this meeting, there will be an overall savings for the audit and tax filing review of over $8,000 from the previous year. And there may be additional savings depending on the type of return filed for New York Creates. The Audit Committee approved resolutions for New York Creates, FRMC, and FSMC. 1, approving and authorizing the corporations to engage KPMG to audit the New York Creates, FRMC, and FSMC financial statements as part of the consolidated audit of New York Creates, and to review their tax filings for the year ending June 30th, 2020. 2, approving and authorizing the President and Treasurer, each of them without the other, on behalf of each corporation, to execute, acknowledge, and deliver any associated agreements for such engagements, which such changes, variations, omissions, and insertions as the officer of such corporation signing same shall approve, and execution thereon by such officer to conduct conclusive evidence of such approvals. 3, approving and authorizing the President and Treasurer, each of them without the other, on behalf of each corporation, to take such actions as are necessary and appropriate, including the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other documents and agreements as be necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intent of this resolution. And 4, recommending that the board approve the same actions. The action requested today is to approve the New York Creates Resolution number 2, FRMC Resolution number 171, and FSMC Resolution number 194. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask each director for their vote on the motion. Christine? Michael Frame?
Aye.
Christine approved.
Franklin Heck?
Took a minute to unmute.
Franklin Heck? Dr. Menyon?
Aye.
Brad Johnson?
Aye.
Joan?
Aye.
Kristen? Dr. Bagat?
Approved.
Ken?
Aye.
And I'd like to be recorded in the affirmative vote as well. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I would now like to introduce Kristen Proud, Chair of the Finance Committee, to give the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Dr. Samakia. So the first item on the Finance Committee report today is authorization for a remarketing agreement. So I'd ask for a motion to authorize and approve an agreement with Macquarie Electronics USA, Inc. Is there a motion?
So moved, Christine.
Thanks, Christine. A second, please.
Second, Ken.
Great. Thank you, Ken. So Fort Schuyler Management Corporation seeks to enter into a remarketing agreement with Macquarie Electronics USA, Inc., pursuant to which Macquarie will act as FSMC's preferred non-exclusive remarketer of equipment owned by FSMC that is no longer needed. The term of the contract is for 5 years unless extended or terminated by either party upon 60 days prior written notice. The contract was awarded following a competitive procurement process that was conducted in complete accordance with FSMC's procurement guidelines policy. Macquarie, a global company, is a division of the Macquarie Group Limited with $434 billion of assets under management. The company has averaged 250 million in high-tech capital remarketing for the last 3 years. And due to the highly specialized nature of all of the tools involved, the company's expertise in the remarketing field will be instrumental in enabling FSMC to recover as much value from the tools as the market will bear at this time. Pursuant to the agreement, FSMC will identify tools for remarketing from time to time and give Macquarie an opportunity to remarket them for a specific period of time. As compensation for its services, FSMC will pay a fee equal to 8 to 10% of the gross sales price before taxes, transportation, and other fees or costs agreed to by FSMC for the equipment. The Finance Committee met and approved a Resolution 1 authorizing and approving the award to Macquarie Electronics USA, Inc. for remarketing of equipment on the terms in the memorandum accompanying the resolution. 2, approving and authorizing the President and Treasurer, each of them without the other, on behalf of the corporation, to execute, acknowledge, and deliver any associated agreements for such engagement with such changes, variations, omissions, and insertions as the officer of the corporation signing same shall approve, the execution thereof by such officer to constitute conclusive evidence of such approval. 3, approving and authorizing the President and Treasurer, each of them without the other, on behalf of the corporation, to take such actions as are necessary and appropriate, including the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other documents and agreements as may be necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intents of this resolution. And 4, recommending that the board approve the same. So the requested action this afternoon is approval of resolution number 195. At this point, I'll pause and ask if any of the board members have any questions or would like to make any comments on resolution 195. Okay, hearing none. At this time, we'll move to the vote. I will ask each director for his or her vote on the motion, beginning with Michael Abbott.
Aye.
Christine Chung.
Aye.
Michael Frame.
Aye.
Franklin Hecht. Dr. Meng-Ling Shao.
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
Joan McDonald. Dr. Samakia.
Aye.
Ken Tompkins.
Aye.
And I would also like to be recorded in the affirmative. So the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The next item is a lease amendment and assignment and guarantee for IEEE Global Spec, Inc. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to consider and approve a lease amendment and assignment and guarantee for IEEE Global Spec, Inc. Is there a motion?
So moved, Christine.
Thanks, Christine. A second, please.
This is Joan. I second.
Thank you, Joan. So for background purposes, IEEE Global Spec Inc. is a technology company leasing 30,000 square feet on the second floor of the Zen building. The lease commenced on June 1, 2017 and runs for a 10-year term. The rent is $24 per square foot plus parking. The company seeks to assign the lease to Global Spec LLC, a new Delaware limited liability company that has purchased substantially all of the assets of IEEE. Compare Networks Inc. is the sole member of Global Spec LLC. Compare Networks is a portfolio company of Main Street Capital Corporation, which is a publicly traded company founded in 2000 that is headquartered in San Francisco. It provides life scientists, researchers, lab-based professionals, pharmaceutical professionals, and healthcare professionals with digital tools and information resources to research, identify, and determine which products and technologies to use. Global Spec LLC also seeks to amend the lease to change the term to 2 years with 2 extension options consisting of 3 years each. FRMC is willing to consent to the amendment and assignment conditioned upon Compare providing FRMC a guarantee of payment and performance of the obligations of Global Spec LLC under the lease. Compare has agreed to provide the guarantee to FRMC. The proposed lease represents a small fraction of the total building. Therefore, an appraisal of fair market value of the asset is not practical. Staff has determined that the lease meets fair market value based on other existing leases on the Albany Nanotech campus and current market conditions for commercial office space in the region, due in part to the economic impact of COVID-19. The Finance Committee met and approved the resolution described in the memorandum provided to the Board in advance of this meeting, including recommending that the Board approve the same actions. So the requested action today by the Board is approve a Resolution 1, approving and authorizing the corporation to enter into a lease amendment and assignment with IEEE Global Spec Inc. and Global Spec LLC, and a guarantee with Compare Networks Inc. on the terms stated above. 2, approving and authorizing the President and Treasurer, each of them without the other, on behalf of the corporation to execute, acknowledge, and deliver the aforesaid lease amendment and assignment and guarantee with such changes, variations, omissions, and insertions as the officer of the corporation signing same shall approve, the execution thereof by such officer to constitute conclusive evidence of such approval. And 3, approving and authorizing the President and Treasurer, each of them without the other, on behalf of the corporation to take such actions as are necessary and appropriate, including the execution, acknowledgement, and delivery of other documents and agreements as may be necessary or appropriate to implement and carry out the purposes and intents of the resolution. At this time, I'll pause and ask if any of the Board members have any comments or have any questions on this matter. Okay, hearing none, then we'll move to the vote, beginning with Michael Abbott.
Aye.
Christine Chung. Michael Frame.
Aye.
Franklin Hecht. Dr. Mengling Shao.
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
Joan McDonald.
Aye.
Dr. Samakia.
Aye.
Ken Tompkins. Ken Tompkins.
Yeah, aye. Did you hear me there? Sorry.
Got it that time. Thank you, Ken. Yes, thanks.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. And I would also like to be recorded in the affirmative. So the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. This time, I will turn the floor back to Dr. Samakia.
Thank you, Kristen. So now I'd like to ask if there is any new business to be considered. If not, I'd like to make a public comment, given that the change in meeting logistics due to public health concerns. We notified the public of the opportunity to send in comments via email prior to the meeting. We did not receive any comments. The next meeting will be scheduled, and we will send you a notification by email. And at this point, if there is no further business, I would like to ask for a move to adjourn the meeting.
Kristen, I'll make the motion.
And a second?
Second, Christine Jones.
Second.
Thank you. So the meeting is adjourned, and I'd like to thank everyone for attending and for their time.
So long.
Thanks, Dr. Samaki.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, all.